Right Network. Mobilizing, countering the left, energizing the right. New Right Network, home of the New Right movement.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith, giving you all the breaking news of the day, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, and 8 o'clock right after this show is the Wayne Dupree Show. Don't miss that. And again, we wrap it all up. We make sense of the news and what's going on, exposing the fake news, giving you the real news. Folks, right here, crush the share, crush the follow. And if you're new to the show, welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure if you're on YouTube, hit the bell for the notifications. And if you have the app called Telegram, you can be a part of this so that you can actually get real-time notifications when the show goes live, where it goes, and have the show notes already in hand, ready to go for when the show is live. Down in the description below, click the Telegram. That'll take you over there. Download the app. You can then have the app on your phone. And as soon as you've got that, then you'll have our show will be there as well. Also in the description below is a link for the full show notes. Folks, we go through all the show notes and all the people that are on Twitter and articles that we read off here on the show. The link to their handle directly takes you to Twitter so you can follow these great patriots that are tweeting out and giving out real information, real-time information every single day. And we pick it up here. We showcase each individual one and give you the real news and explain what's going on. So with that being said, folks, yesterday was a big day. We did the show. The show went live. Everything was fantastic. And all of a sudden, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, and everybody started trending. So I had to jump on, figure out what was going on. What an explosion yesterday in the House on the Senate floor. Just absolutely incredible. Got a lot of sound bites of the Republicans absolutely taking the Democrats to task and just blast them left and right. This has become one absolute SH show that the Democrats are putting on. My whole theory on this and why are they still running with Russia? Why is Nadler still bringing people to testify? They're absolute criminals to testify on the floor. They can't let this go. If they let the Russia go, if they let it go and let's, okay, all right, be done, then they're sunk. Well, Brian, but if they keep doing this, they're sunk. Well, they ain't got nothing else to do. They are going so hardcore with the Russia, the Spygate, Donald Trump, Russia connection. This is all they have. They're trying to go so hardcore with it that they're trying to wreck it. They're trying to break the system. Literally break it so bad that anytime you mention, like if somebody come up to me and mention to me, hey, Brian, you know anything about that Russia Spygate? I'll be like, oh, man, you better back up. I'm about ready to explode. No, I'm joking. We can talk about it, but if somebody comes up to me and walks up and says, oh, yeah, that Trump, he's guilty. It's so bad that I don't even know if I'd even say anything to him. I think I'd turn around and say, man, you really got to seek some help for that mental disability. And I think that's what they're doing because they got nothing else, but we'll talk about that. It's just unbelievable. And we've also got some updated news on the investigating of the investigators and the deep state. Not surprised, but it's getting bad. It's getting real bad. We got some Trump news today, some really good stuff that's going on. Donald Trump making a huge difference. Thank you, sir, for all that you do for America. And the border crisis. Nobody, not one single Republican, not one single Democrat, nobody. I don't know anybody who's ever done anything for the border, for the crisis, for the issues that have been going on since forever. I don't know anybody like Donald Trump that's actually tackling this. We talked about this yesterday, how the body host in D.C. is infected with a bacteria. And we injected Donald Trump as the antibiotic to help clean this up. And I'll tell you what, he's really getting things done. We'll showcase that today. And we've got Congress. Congress, what are they doing? We can start out with that. We'll start out with Congress. Let's jump into this real quick. And this at D.C. Examiner House cancels vote on pay raises for lawmakers. Talked about this, I think it might have been last week, where we mentioned that they were going to vote themselves a $4,600 raise from $176,000, $175,000 a year. They get paid. No, they get paid $175,000 a year, even if after they're out of office, they continue to still get paid. The richest of the richest people in the world, people serving up in Congress, full health care for life, full dental for life, full everything. I mean, it's a free ride. You get into Congress, you win that ticket, you get that for life. Trying to give themselves a raise, complaining, bemoaning. They haven't had a raise in 10 plus years, and they decide that they want to go ahead and give themselves an extra $4,600. Folks, these guys barely work as it is anyhow. I don't know who or where you could go to get a job for $175,000 a year and have all the days off that these folks have. It's just absolutely despicable. That's why we've got to get in this game. Folks, I told you about this yesterday. JusticePatriots.org is a super PAC that we put together in order to showcase the MAGA candidates, the America First agenda candidates, those that have our interest at heart, truly the people's interest. We will showcase these. We will help these individuals succeed and becoming our representatives so that we can literally take back. I mean, Donald Trump's already hijacked the GOP. We now need to help him by installing individuals to really make sure that we cement our place in history by taking back the GOP and really putting it back the way that it was originally intended to be. Let's go back to the Abraham Lincoln Party. That's what I'm talking about. Freeing the slaves. Power back to the people. That's why Donald Trump was elected president of the United States of America. And at Patty Prom Queen, this is certainly a great patriot to follow. She's tweeting out all these new candidates that are up and coming, the ones that you need to follow, the ones that are going to help Donald Trump make America great, right here at Patty Prom Queen. Hashtag Texas, hashtag District 16, at Vote Samuel Will 1. Please help Sam with his campaign, with a donation for his campaign to serve you. It's costly starting out as a new candidate, and he has the heart to serve you and do great things for our country, but needs your help. He has an impressive background, too. And this is Samuel, hashtag El Paso, hashtag Texas. I need Texas to help me win the 2020, and the 16th district is a Democrat plus 17. I am a humble, retired, enlisted soldier trying to make a difference. Please visit samforrep.com and donate a couple dollars. My retirement is what I am using to support the effort. That's a patriot right there, using his retirement to try and make a difference in El Paso, Texas, sir. You've got our backing 100%. We contact these individuals. We let them know the program that we have already in place to help them run a very successful campaign. For people first time doing this, it's very difficult to navigate and they've made it that way. These politicians have made it so that once they get elected, they stay elected. That's their whole goal, is to stay elected, continue to do nothing, and rake in the hundreds of thousands of dollars every single year. And again, I mentioned this before back in the day. Ocasio-Cortez was complaining about now that she won, and she's bemoaning about trying to find an apartment in D.C. and the cost of an apartment and all the money. You guys remember that, right? She don't complain no more. You don't hear her say one darn thing about money anymore. You know why? She got paid. She was starting to realize that she better shut up. They took her out to the woodshed and said, "Hey, woman, you better shut up. You about ready to get paid? We don't need them knowing all about how much they get. $3,500 a week. Come on, girl." Nope, she'll never talk about that again. And the fake news media, they're never going to expose these Democrats for who they are. So that's what we do here, folks, right here. NewRightNetwork.com. Great writers, great articles over there. And this, the new series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith. Again, folks, thank you for crushing the share and crush the follow. Tell your friends and your family about the new shows that are now here available for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You check them out. Go over to SmythTV. And again, right after this show, 8 o'clock is the Wayne Dupree Show. Donald Trump tweeting out. This is incredible. We are able to connect with the President of the United States with the likes that we've never been able to do before. Watching him tweet out is the greatest thing ever, triggering everybody. Good stuff. And he tweets this out. I know it is not at all presidential to hit back at the corrupt media or people who work for the corrupt media when they make false statements about me or the Trump administration. Problem is, if you don't hit back, people believe the fake news is true. So we'll hit back. I brought this up yesterday and I forgot to put the tweet out, but that is absolutely true. This is why we do this show, folks, exposing the fake news every single day. For those of you that are not on social media, and there's a lot of folks that listen to the show audio only, we can bring to you live what the President of the United States is saying and what is really going on, as well as exposing the fake news. We salute you, sir. Thank you so much for all that you do to help make America great. This is the fake news. This is the stuff that needs to be exposed, guys. At Don_Vito_08. At CNN, worst year in 14 years, both in ratings and hashtag fake news stories. Barney and Friends has a higher rating than fraud news CNN. Hashtag CNN blackmail. I try to do it, guys. I try to jump over to CNN. I try to get into the news. I try to bring it, the fake news. I try to bring it to you guys and show you and expose who they are and what they're doing. It is so difficult. It literally makes me cringe. It's like ruining my reputation having those jokers on here. And I know, I think Rush Limbaugh said he's put a ban on some of these outlets from being on his show. It's for truly true, folks. CNN has gone so hardcore leftist. Don Lemon did a thing, and I was going to show up, but you guys don't need to see that garbage. Don Lemon was talking and lamenting about how Donald Trump is so crooked and so evil and such a liar, on and on and on. Look, this is what the mainstream media has become. I mean, I remember all the way back to a Desert Storm when CNN came on the scope, 24/7, wall-to-wall coverage of real news, the military, what they're doing, and things like that. That's a far cry from today. Today they are 100% in the pockets of the Democrat Party, and it's so sad that they have to go out this way. But go out, keep going, and I think somebody should file a lawsuit against AT&T for hanging these people, keeping these people hanging on. And this at Sweet Cat with a K 111 nailed it. We live in a society where the news media just wants to be first. They don't care who it hurts. This Denzel Washington gives the news a little heads up.
If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it. Sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
You told me last time.
Okay. But you heard me? Does that make sense?
I hear it.
Calling out the BS, calling out the fake news. Thank you, Denzel, for taking it to him. I'm not sure what his politics are, and it doesn't even matter. And I really do wish that a lot of these Hollywood elites, I really do wish that they would keep their politics out of the light. I didn't need to know that Paul Newman was a hardcore leftist. I only found that out until later on in life, just before his death. It came out that he was really a hardcore leftist, and it's just so frustrating. He also complained about how ridiculous it was that people would pay him so much money to do so little work. Yeah, that's your socialist. That's what you guys live for. You live for that. That's what we're talking about, these Congress people. They live for that paycheck. That's all they live for. And so as we go down and we showcase the news of the day, exposing these people, for the leftists that they are. We need to continue to fight the good fight in order to take back our country. And as we do so, that also means exposing the criminal elements on the border, the crisis on the border. Who's fixing the border? I was telling you earlier, who's fixing this border? Sure ain't the Democrats. It wasn't the Republicans of the past either. They had the House, the Senate, and the executive branch with Donald Trump. No, they did not work for us. Donald Trump, literally the only one up there in D.C. working, and he's working for the people. This about the border at real Donald Trump.
People haven't used tariffs, but tariffs are a beautiful thing when you're the piggy bank, when you have all the money. Everyone's trying to get our money. China, and the China deal is going to work out. You know why? Because of tariffs. Because right now China is getting absolutely decimated by companies that are leaving China, going to other countries, including our own, because they don't want to pay the tariffs. And China will, in my opinion, based on a lot of facts and a lot of knowledge, China's going to make a deal because they're going to have to make a deal.
We have not seen any president that I know of to take on these crooked regimes around the world, hit them with tariffs, hit them where it hurts. Donald Trump is hitting them where it hurts. And yes, in the short term, in the short run, it does, for the farmers, it does hit them and it does hurt them. But Donald Trump was able to negotiate and give them a small package to relieve them during this war. We've got it. This is a tariff war. We've got to fight this war, because if we don't fight the tariff war, if it isn't fought now with Donald Trump, it'll never be fought. Our money will continue to be sucked out of our country, away from us, and all to these foreign regimes, these foreign governments that literally China and communists. That's the only way that the communist China can even survive, is by ripping off other countries. We show that everywhere it is. Socialism, communism, the only way that they can survive is by capitalism. And they hoodwink and they steal from capitalism. There's no other way to do it. They can't do it. The greatest system ever to come around to pull people out of poverty, that's capitalism. And with morality and capitalism combined, you have the greatest of both worlds. Just unfortunate that our country is losing its morality. No thanks to, you know who they are. And so as we talked about yesterday, the border crisis, and the tariffs forcing Mexico to do something they've never done before, sending 6,000 National Guard troops to the border to help assist America. Hey, Nancy. Hey, Chuck. When has that ever happened? Never. I've never heard of that before. But we got Mike Pompeo on the job. What an incredible Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. Absolutely love this guy. U.S. will send migrants back to Mexico full throttle. This at Breitbart News. Mike Pompeo said, those crossing the U.S. southern border to seek asylum will be rapidly returned to Mexico, where they may await their adjudication of their asylum claims. We've seen this before. We were able to do this to the tune of a couple of hundred people per day before the deal. Now that we have the capacity to do this full throttle and engage this in a way that will make the fundamental difference in the calculus for those migrants deciding to transit Mexico to try to get to the United States, this full-blown effort under the migration protocol is a big deal, and was something that we worked on very, very diligently with our Mexican counterparts over the 2 days, and we will pursue other cooperative efforts. I salute you, Mike Pompeo. What you guys are doing is phenomenal. What you guys are doing has never been done before. And again, we talked about the fake news media, the New York Slimes, saying that, oh, they had this deal in the works for months and months ago, and they just didn't come. It wasn't just a immediate thing, and the tariffs scared Mexico. Mexico was not. They had this in the works. Fake news. That's a lie. Mike Pompeo, President Donald Trump telling the people. If these guys weren't on social media, if we didn't have social media, we would still be kept in the dark. This has got to be scaring the Democrats to death, that we can expose them Every single day. I could do a 1-hour show every single day, exposing the Democrats and giving you real news. That, my friends, in my lifetime has never happened before. We've got technology at our fingertips, and it is a godsend. It is a blessing. So jump over to SmythTV. Help keep the show on. Help keep it free for everybody to watch it in real time. And this is a sad story coming from the border, but there are a lot of sad stories. There are a lot of heartbreaks. Nobody wants to bring this up because it's very difficult to talk about. It's very difficult to explain and people to understand what MS-13 gang members are capable of. We talk about the rape trees down there on the border where they'll take a whole group of women, totally strip them naked, rape them, and then throw the clothes up in the trees to mark their territory. This is happening on a daily basis. Building the wall, enforcing our laws will save those women from being raped and possibly murdered. So we're doing a service for those that are attempting to come to the border that will in turn be harmed, as well as stop these tragic incidents where they've crossed the border, come into our country, and murder, rape, DUIs, just breaking up families, killing officers. There's just no question about it. This has to stop, and this definitely pulls at Donald Trump's heartstrings, being with these angel moms and these angel dads, these angel families. And another really tough story to talk about at Leah R77. 14-year-old Ariana Diaz was forced to strip, was beaten with a baseball bat, then murdered with a machete. 2 involved were here illegally and members of MS-13. They were literally, purposely hidden from ICE by the state of Maryland's sanctuary city policy. Democrats are protecting murderers. And this, the article right here, dailysignal.com. How open borders and sanctuary policies victimize and kill Americans. It's difficult. I understand. It sucks to talk about this stuff. I hate doing it on the show because it upsets me too. I hate talking about the abortion issue because it's very upsetting. It's very disturbing how Democrats are just okay with the murder of innocent babies. And it's just despicable. In order to win their money, in order to gain their power, they're willing to allow people to be murdered so that they can stay in office, so that they can wreck the system. I mean, Bill Maher said we've got to wreck the economy to get rid of Donald Trump. What a sick individual. Murdering people. Yes, look, Donald Trump. Crisis, manufactured crisis. They were trying to say that yesterday. They were trying to insinuate that Donald Trump invented this crisis on the border, just manufactured it in order to save it and call himself the hero. This is the sick, twisted, demented Democrat Party that we're dealing with. And at Jeep Susie H2, this is what 100,000 illegals look like coming to invade our border. Folks, this is true. They are on the march. I mean, for those of you audio only, it doesn't do it justice. I mean, you can't see the video. Just hundreds of thousands, the caravan that's moving through, backpacks and plastic bags to hold their stuff in, just marching through water, marching through forest, just marching all the way. And these aren't, I'm not seeing very small children here. I'm seeing a lot of mid-size. Now there's a woman there, but there's a whole, for every one woman, there's 5 to 10 middle-aged men, strong-looking middle-aged men. This is what we're stopping. This is what needs to be stopped. They need to understand that there is a border wall there, and you're probably not going to get through it. Right as it is right now, they're being told in their home country, they're being told if you can make it to the border with a child in hand, you got the golden ticket and you're in. That stops with Donald Trump. They're doing DNA tests on the border to make sure that the children are related to the parents. We've got a report about this yesterday. We've got DHS agents that are supposed to be protecting the border and guarding the border, spending time changing diapers, taking care of babies. This is not their job. But out of human kindness, just out of the kindness of their own heart, I mean, this has got to be an awful job to be down there, to be a DHS agent, to have to see this, see these children. And who, folks, I'd hate to think that they've been abducted down there in the third world countries. Just grab a 2-year-old child from a mother's arms and take off, trying to get to the border. This is pure evilness. And the only ones stopping this evilness, obviously, are agents and law enforcement, ICE, DHS. But Donald Trump has released the handcuffs from these agents to do their job. Remember, not too long ago, Barack Hussein Obama shut it down so that they couldn't do their jobs, and they complained about it constantly. And this at Hershey A 8720, 124,000 children have been born to illegals in America in 2019, 6 months into this year. Funny how the Democrat establishment doesn't want these children aborted. You never hear that from the left, do you? These are the new voters. It is clear as day they are attempting to create an entire voting block to secure their money, to secure their power and their position. They're bringing third world country illegal immigrants to this country, enslaving them, and unbeknownst to them, they don't even know because they're coming from a third world country. Unbeknownst to them, that the Democrats are literally putting them in a slave state where they will be housed, fed, and maintained as long as they go ahead and do the job of pulling the lever when they need them to. Get names, pulling the lever for them, whatever it takes. This is the new voting block. Talk about blanket amnesty. Tell the Democrats, we'll give you amnesty, but they can't vote for 25 years, for a whole generation. That won't fly. And even if it does fly, get nervous, be scared, because as soon as they agree to that, then the next day they'll start hammering down like Russia. They'll start hammering down. Oh, it's so, you're so evil. Race, sex, bigger, homophobe. You're so evil. They should be allowed to vote. And then they'll start pulling at you and tugging at you until they get enough people to go ahead and pass that. Folks, this is the dangerous Democrat Party we're dealing with now, and they cannot be allowed ever to hold three branches of our government. And this at our good friend. These are great patriots to follow, folks. Go down in the description below. Click the link for the full show notes. Follow along, and you can click on these names. They're clickable links. And click on this one at Jally_cat with a C. Great patriot to follow. Nancy Pelosi and House Democrats unanimously reject a motion condemning illegal immigrant voting. Quote, they have every right to participate in our democratic process. Are you listening, America? Vote these Democrats out now. Now, this by Fox News. We're just talking about this. The Democrats need a new voting block. They want illegals to vote. California has completely wrecked itself, guys. $98 million for 90,000 illegals to be completely covered with health care, health insurance, dental, vision, everything. California is now taking in and housing and maintaining and giving illegal immigrants a complete lifestyle in order to be a Democrat in the voting block. And as I told you earlier in the show, I teased a little bit about what happened yesterday, but it was an epic. It was an epic beatdown yesterday up there on Capitol Hill with the Republicans taking it to the Democrats. And why were they taking it to the Democrats? Because of one individual they called to testify. Nadler called one individual to testify. I didn't think you could find somebody worse than Cohen. I really didn't think you could find somebody worse than Cohen. They found somebody as bad, maybe even worse than Cohen. And luckier too. It's at our good friend at Polita Bunny. What? LOL. That to Eric Swalwell. And this is how we're going to set the whole story up.
Nixon to just any future administration, would you say there was a future administration that committed more crimes than the Nixon administration as far as obstruction?
I would say the Trump administration is in fast competition with what happened in the Nixon administration.
I would like to thank all of the witnesses for participating, especially Mr. Dean, Professor Vance, and Professor McQuaid. Your voices have been very important voices as our fragile democracy has been tested. And coming here today has laid out the foundation for our country as to what's at risk. You know, it's often said that history doesn't repeat, it rhymes, and we are hearing many of those rhymes today, and I would yield back.
Gentleman yields back.
I have never heard that history rhymes. What? What an idiot. Okay, well, that's Swalwell. He's an idiot to begin with. Okay, so they called Mr. Dean up to testify. Who is Mr. Dean? I didn't know. I had no idea who Mr. Dean is. But I want to thank Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows. I want to thank all Louis Gomer out of Texas got a piece of this. I want to thank all our elected officials that did their job by exposing who Mr. Dean is. Not only that, but Donald Trump knows Mr. Dean as well. So let's go back. Let's start out with Representative Andy Biggs out of Arizona. Thank you, sir. He has called out. Chairman Nadler has said that obstruction of justice is a serious crime that strikes at the heart of our justice system. It is not ironic that John Dean was brought here today as one convicted of obstruction of justice with no info regarding the underlying Mueller report.
Recognized. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I appreciate all of you being here today, but I do find this to be a bit of an absurd hearing that we're holding today. Let's talk about Mr. Dean for just a second. No, you're no fall guy in the Watergate scandal. The FBI referred to you as the master manipulator of the cover-up.
Incorrect.
The U.S. attorney said you were at the center of the criminality. The special counsel's office found 19 material discrepancies between your testimony and what was found recorded on White House tapes. What was actually recorded? 19 material discrepancies. That makes you, as an additional convicted felon, sentenced 1 to 4 years in prison. You tell us today you didn't go to prison, and that's true. You didn't go to prison. You went to a special witness facility while you were testifying after you had turned state's evidence. Allegations against you included the conspiracy to obstruct justice, rehearsing Jeb Magruder for his false grand jury testimony, which would be subordination of perjury, destroying documents retrieved from Howard Hunt's office, which would be destruction of evidence, taking $4,000 of campaign funds from your office safe to pay for your honeymoon, that would be embezzlement, and improperly disclosing prosecutorial information to Watergate defense counsel, which would be misuse of government information. Those things would make you, in my opinion, an inherently incredible witness. But see, we're not just talking about your credibility as a witness. You're a biased witness as well. You spent the last 45 years trying to rehabilitate yourself, and I don't blame you. And you've written numerous books. You've claimed multiple Republican administrations as being worse than Watergate. You wrote a book in 1987 called Worse Than Watergate, and it's about Bush and Cheney. You later wrote another book, having called this president, by the way, a nitwit. But your later book is called Broken Government, How Republican Rule Destroyed the Legislative, Executive, and Judicial Branches. Somehow, the impeachment against former President Clinton you described as absurd, but every Republican president since virtually has been accused of impeachable offenses by you. That makes you a biased witness, incredible and biased. Moreover, you've come in here today, and it's the one thing I absolutely agree with you on. You don't have any expertise with regard to facts. You're not the fact witness. You said that. It's written in right in your report. I don't disagree with that at all. I agree with you 100%. But you're trying to give us historical context. And when you try to give us historical context, I refer you back to, number one, incredible witness. Number two, biased witness. So much of what you say seems very difficult to accept at face value, quite frankly.
Everything he says to me is you can't take at face value. You talk about a liar. Talk about a convicted criminal that slithered his way out of going to prison. Cohen went to prison. Cohen's the idiot. Cohen went to prison. This guy did much worse than what Cohen was doing in terms of obstruction and all kinds of awful lying and cheating and stealing, embezzlement. This guy's a bad Nadler. Nadler called this guy to come and testify, and they absolutely wrecked it on Capitol Hill. You Democrats are being exposed every single day as being the worst representatives ever. The dangerous part of this, and we're going to destroy this guy even more, but the dangerous part of this is that the gaslit Democrats, the voters, are witnessing this too. And they're embarrassed. They're embarrassed by what Nadler's doing. They're embarrassed about the Russia. They're embarrassed in their own mind that nobody's impeaching already. They're upset, and they're going to vote for a more extreme Islamic candidate that will get it done. Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. They'll get it done. And at GOP, the GOP getting in on this too. What bothers me most is this committee's failure to investigate the beginnings. This by Jim Jordan.
Okay. You pled guilty to obstruction of justice. I'm glad you got to stay out of prison then, I guess. What bothers me the most, though, is this committee's failure to investigate how the whole Trump-Russia thing started. This is a Judiciary Committee. We're supposed to, how this whole thing began. And I said this a few weeks ago, but I want to remind this committee what the Attorney General of the United States said 8 weeks ago when he testified in front of the Senate. He said 4 important things about the beginnings of the Trump-Russia investigation. He said there was a failure of leadership at the upper echelon of the FBI. His words, not mine. Upper echelon. That's certainly true. Comey, McCabe, Baker, Strzok, Page, they've all been fired, demoted, let go, they're gone. Some of them are under investigation by the Justice Department. He said spying did occur. He said it twice. He said there's a basis for his concern about the spying that took place. And he used 2 terms that, again, I think this committee should find frightening and should be looking into. Unauthorized surveillance and political surveillance. Scary terms. So the good news is, even though this Congress has memorandums of understanding between the key committee chairmen on how they're going to coordinate their attack on the president, even though this Congress' first big witness, first big hearing, Michael Cohen, a guy who sits in prison for lying to Congress, and even though we now have a guy testifying about obstruction of justice who pled guilty to obstruction of justice, we should be looking into the things Bill Barr's looking at. Now, the good news is Mr. Durham's doing that. But this is the part I think that frustrates so many. Mr. Chairman, I would hope the Judiciary Committee and the history this committee has for protecting fundamental liberties would begin to look into those key issues, the whole premise for how this Trump-Russia investigation started in the first place. And I'll finish again with this. Emmett Flood wrote a letter to the Attorney General a few weeks back, made an important point. He said, we would all do well to remember, if they can do it to a president, imagine what they can do to you and me. Imagine what they can do to regular citizens across this great country.
That's truly scary. Even James Comey, when he testified under oath, they asked, do you put a piece of tape over the lens on your laptop? And he said, yes, I do. I mean, we know he's a liar and a leaker, but if that's true, we know the FBI and the CIA, we know what they did to Donald Trump, the balls that they had, the nerve that they had, the Peter Strzok's and the Lisa Pages, the Comeys and the McCabes and the Brennans, all these people, Lynch, Eric Holder, every one of these people, the nerve of these individuals to think that they can get away with and do what they did to Donald Trump, elect, and President Trump afterwards. Imagine us, the citizens, the ones of us, the conservative voice that complain day in and day out of the suppression of our voice on social media. Imagine what they're doing behind the scenes. And this at Eddie is back, KAG 2020. This is Matt Getz.
Here we sit today in this hearing with the ghost of Christmas past, reopening the impeachment inquiry potentially into Richard Nixon, sort of playing out our own version of that 70s show. And what I really regret,
it is striking, Mr. Gates.
You're here as a prop. You are functionally here as a prop because they can't impeach President Trump because 70% of Democrats want something that 60% of Americans don't. So they're in this no-win situation, and you sit before us here with no knowledge of a single fact on the Mueller report on a hearing entitled Lessons from the Mueller Report. We have a false accusation against the President of the United States that he was an agent of Russia. My colleagues on the Democratic side made that accusation. And now here we are continuing to engage in this frivolous exercise of going after the president, despite the fact that there was absolutely no collusion. You guys need to get your act together and figure out if you're going to open an impeachment inquiry or not, because this is a straight-up fiction. I yield back.
And Representative Matt Gaetz also tweeted this out.
The American people are sick and tired of a double standard that seemed to pave a yellow brick road to exoneration for Hillary Clinton when there were clearly crimes committed there, while at the same time casting these aspersions on Donald Trump without a basis as a result of bias. The only reason why we haven't had people thrown in jail yet is because Jeff Sessions did a terrible job as Attorney General. Now we've got a real Attorney General. Mr. Durham's on the case, and the information we have now seems to indicate that at every level of this corruption, there is going to be accountability, and there's going to be a restoration of justice and the rule of law, and I can't wait for it.
Justice for the rule of law. Folks, they're talking a big game. They're talking about a lot of things that are happening right now on the back end where the investigation of the investigators is happening. They're not talking about this without knowing. They know that things are coming down. They know that things are going on. I'll tell you what, the day is going to come. People are going to have to go to jail. Otherwise, these Republicans are going to lose their job. Think about that. If people don't go to jail, these individuals will have lost all credibility in the public's eye because we know crimes have been committed. We just need you guys to prove it and slap on the handcuffs and take them straight to prison. Don't pass go. Don't collect your check of whatever in Congress, $175,000. Go straight to jail. And this at Jamie RODR 14. Boom. Love Representative Matt Gaetz.
The corrupt origins of this investigation inside the Obama White House, where we weren't just violating the rights of our own citizens in our country, we were actually off trying to pressure our allies like Britain to collect intelligence on people that we would have had no ability to do here in the United States. All of that together spells bad news for the people in the Obama White House.
How about Obama himself? I'm just saying, somebody should look into that. Obama knew about this all along. Obama has his hands all over this. All of his people are involved in this to, remember, fundamentally transform America forever. That is what Obama attempted to do. And I'll tell you, I think he's succeeded at transforming our country for at least a few decades until we can grasp and get a hold of what's going on here at the border, here in elected officials. And it's just insane how it's kind of gotten away from us. And this whole Watergate, you guys cannot pin Watergate on Trump. It's just not even possible. This is one of my favorite Texans anywhere, folks. Representative Louis Gohmert explains the similarities between Watergate scandal and the Russia investigation. Oh, let's take a listen.
Correct. There are similarities, you're right, with regard to Watergate, and both an administration was seeking to illegally spy on another candidate, and both people were hired to attempt to gather evidence that could be used against a candidate. In Watergate, the committee to re-elect the president hired burglars to break into the DNC headquarters. In Watergate, administration officials tried to find ways to use federal dollars to pay for their criminal spying. In Russiagate, members of the federal government used the Intel, DOJ, and FBI communities to attempt to defeat a presidential candidate, then when that failed, to have him removed from office. In Russiagate, the Clinton campaign and the FBI paid a foreign agent to collude with Russians to produce opposition research that turned out completely false, as the Mueller report indicated, that could be used to commit a fraud upon the FISA court and get multiple warrants to spy on opposition campaign. In Russiagate, it was the Clinton campaign through Fusion GPS in concert with the FBI, possibly intelligence, who hired people to do the spying.
Boom! I mean, that's it. That's all you need to know. We talk about a great patriot right there. That's why we love having Louis up there on Capitol Hill, making sense of all of this nonsense. Just speaking truth to power, folks. Everything he said, yes, there's similarities from Watergate and Russiagate. President of the United States attempting to overthrow, spy on opposition, to overthrow the election, and then after the election to actually overthrow the duly elected President of the United States of America. This goes all the way to Obama, folks. And at GOP Chairwoman, thank you so much, Ronna McDaniel, for all that you do. She tweeted out, "You can't make this up. The best person Jerry Nadler could find to smear real Donald Trump today with a bogus obstruction of justice charge is someone who literally pled guilty and went to jail for obstruction of justice." House Democrats have totally lost it. And this at Thomas 1774 Payne. John Dean was the mastermind of Watergate and subsequent cover-up. He went to federal prison after he became a rat for the FBI and ratted out others who went to prison. No wonder the Democrats are applauding him today. These rats are headed to the same place. There's no question in my mind. People are going to jail, folks. People are going to jail. This is a display of lunacy. The Democrats don't realize how bad they're hurting themselves and how the gaslit individuals, the ones that are crazed and deranged, are going to vote them out of office for even crazier people. Sorry, Democrats. You made your bed. Now you got to lie in it. This Donald Trump tweeting this out. Thank you, sir, for the tweet. At Lou Dobbs and at Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch.
I think captured the spirit, the essence of John Dean. Loser, liar, pretty much a creepy kind of guy who basically wants to be a pawn of the left. Your thoughts?
Yeah, everyone's got to make a living, and he decided after his Nixon-related crimes to make a living attacking Republicans and kowtowing to the left that destroyed his career and almost put him away. So the idea
that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, so he's been working over at CNN, and he's a so-called expert on these issues. He's just an anti-Republican activist, like the CNN is, an activist organization geared against conservatives and in favor of liberalism.
That in response to thehill.com tweets out the video clip of Donald Trump's response to this guy, Dean.
Look, John Dean's been a loser for many years, so I've been watching him on one of the networks that is not exactly Trump-oriented, and I guess they paid him a lot of money over the years. No, John's been a loser for a long time. We know that. I think he was disbarred, and he went to prison. Other than that, he's doing a great job.
He says Mr. President.
Other than that, he's doing a great job. I don't know about that. So, yes, folks, it's a fact. He works at CNN. CNN pays him. This whole thing, he went to prison. Apparently, he went to like a halfway house, cut a deal, got out to be able to rat on other people that he was involved with, writes books bashing Republicans because Democrats will help him sell them. I mean, you got to sell the narrative. They find the money somewhere. Hillary Clinton finding $145 million coming from Russia to the Clinton Foundation. I wonder how much of that money made it into Dean's pocket. They got to pay for somebody to come to Capitol Hill and testify on behalf of the Democrats. Seriously, it's going to cost a lot of money because would you want to go up there and look the fool because you're so dirty and so crooked? No, not me.
All of these misconceptions and misrepresentations in the Mueller report, is there going to be accountability here, Congressman? I mean, you talk about John Brennan, Peter Strzok, Andrew McCabe, Jim Comey, this cabal of people that created this narrative that the president was colluding with Russia. Will we see accountability?
Well, it's the number one question I get asked back home in North Carolina and across the country. Will there be accountability? And I'm here to tell you this morning, the answer is yes. Bill Barr is serious about making sure that we reset and reestablish the reputation of the FBI and the Department of Justice. And I can tell you that unless someone actually goes to jail, most of the people will think that accountability didn't happen. But I believe, based on the documents I've seen, that crimes were committed and people need to go to jail.
Meadows also follows up with that by saying that there will be and is a delay in the IG report. That's because they're finding more dirt and they're finding more people they're going to wind up being charged and possibly going to jail. The IG is doing, according to Meadows, doing his job, and again, going to be delayed because there's more stuff that's been coming out. And this at GOP Chairwoman, once again, Ronna McDaniel. Obama and Biden failed to act while Russia was engaged in a cyber attack against America. Their response? Susan Rice told the national security team to stand down. Why don't Democrats like Adam Schiff ever criticize that? This is the sad truth, folks. Obama truly wanted to tear America down, to fundamentally transform it forever, and now we're having to deal with the cleanup. Folks, this is the cleanup. Donald Trump is the cleanup guy to clean up all this mess, putting Bill Barr in place, Bill Barr tapping great minds. Folks, trust Bill Barr tapping great minds to get to the bottom of all this corruption. This tweeted out at I'm in his book. Sadly, I'm not surprised. What disgusting actions of corruption, people who would undermine this great country. Keep digging, John, and drain the swamp. This by the GatewayPundit.com. New DOJ letter reveals of just how massive John Durham's spy investigation has become into. And this at adjunct professor, a new letter from the Justice Department addressed to Representative Nadler reveals John Durham's investigation into Spygate much larger than previously known. And there's the letter right there. I'm telling you, folks, they're really digging in deep. They're finding a lot of stuff that they didn't think was there. We've known it to be there. We knew that we speculated that all this stuff was so awful, but yet now it's come to light and it's absolute fact. They've got the evidence. They've got the smoking guns. People, I'm telling you, people going to jail. People going to jail. Okay, folks, let's wrap this up. We'll end on a high note today, kind of give you a good feeling. We're going to go to some Trump news, excellent Trump news. A lot of stuff going on with Donald Trump behind the scenes that this kind of circusry that Nadler has dreamed up to bring in some of the most awful, crooked people to testify about obstruction. They were actually charged with it. Crazy. So let's get into some good stuff. This at Echo the Call, another good one to follow, folks here. Truth prevails. At Real Donald Trump, transforming government and keeping promises. Check one, completed Department of Defense's first ever audit. Wow, you guys aren't going to hear that anywhere. Check. Implemented a 5-year ban on lobbying for White House employees and a lifetime ban on lobbying for foreign countries. Check. Trump donates his salary. Check. Appointed SCOTUS, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh. Didn't see this coming, guys. At Tony, Trump's Hammer 2.0. That's way better than packing the courts with anti-American judges like you and Obama did. I believe the word you're looking for is conservative. Hashtag Democrats hate America. This was in reply to Chuck Schumer's tweet.
And so there are a number of state legislatures who have enacted new legislation will be winding its way up through the courts and gives us an opportunity to begin to pick away at Roe versus Wade.
It's got to happen, folks. For those of you that support abortion or support women's right to choose on whether a baby lives or dies, it's got to come to the day to where you understand that life begins at conception, the egg, the sperm, a completely unique DNA, and now you've got a human being. And just because that human being is inside your body is a similar example as the food being in my refrigerator. It's not part of the refrigerator. That baby is not a part of you. It is an individual, separate human being. Yes, true. Everything that you eat and you do helps to feed and grow the baby. But that baby, all intents and purposes, completely unique human being. Sorry. We've got to do what we've got to do. Thank you, Mitch McConnell, for letting people know that we are going to start picking away at Roe v. Wade. And this at our good friend Akins_Josh. This shows the complete lack of economic statistical understanding by Pandercutis. The wage gap on the sole basis of gender discrimination is a fallacy. There are countless factors which debunks this, constantly pushing the myth. Stop lying to the people. Women do not make a fraction of what men make for doing the same job. There's a lot of factors involved in that. And just take the one example Rush Limbaugh throws out there. If it was true that women make less for doing the exact same thing a man does, then every corporation would fire all their men and hire nothing but women. Got to make more money. That's crazy nonsense. And this, we talked to you about Justin Amash and the disgraced Republican. I was doing some research the other day, and I found out he was on the Freedom Caucus. I thought there was something really wrong with that. All of a sudden, we find out Justin Amash just now gone from the House Freedom Caucus after saying Trump conduct was impeachable. And at Ralph, thank you so much for tweeting this out. Breaking, Jim Jordan told Laura Ingraham he spoke with Amash on Monday with Representative Mark Meadows. They agreed that Justin would step down from the Freedom Caucus. I couldn't be happier. Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, you talk about some true American patriots doing their job, exposing these rhino Republicans, getting them off of caucus. They shouldn't even be a part of this kind of stuff, talking about Donald Trump and impeachment. You're a Republican. You're a disgrace. Somebody needs to run against that guy and get this one out of office. Let's check out some other really awesome stuff that's going around the country right now. This at Wit and Fun. Our president represents the people of the United States, not our lifestyles preferences. This was tweeted out too at Nevada Jack 2. President Trump denies request by United States embassies to raise rainbow flags on their official flag poles for the International LGBT Pride Month of June. And this, our good friend at Sean Lynn 5. It's a symbol of exclusionary privilege. Look at me. I'm not special. Look at me. I'm special. There is no more reason to fly it than there is for any religion or private club or organization. It's a symbol of passive aggression used to intimidate and stake claim where there's the heterosexual flag, pride flag.
Talk about the tariffs and these ignorant acolytes of quote-unquote free trade, which means that they want to just suck the lifeblood out of American workers and our middle class and put it in the pockets of the 1%ers, if you will, at taxpayer expense. This president is talking about balancing an economy, balancing trade relationships, and by God, he's doing it, Ed.
And equally as important, this would not have happened without his basically intervention here. I mean, the New York Times and all the rest of them would say this was going on months ago. Bullshit. Excuse my language. At the end of the day,
God, this is cable.
Sorry. Bleep it. Sorry. The bottom line is this president made this happen. We had a very serious problem. We've had a very serious problem with this border. And he said, if you're not going to straighten it out, I'm going to step in here and I'm going to make it happen. And he did. I mean, the Mexicans understood he's a tough negotiator, and they're now going to do what's right.
Amen. Donald Trump working hard for the American people. God bless America. God bless Donald Trump. Yeah, you got to swat down that LGBTQ stuff. You guys saying that the pride flag and look at us and look at us. No, we don't want to look at you. Thank you, Donald Trump, for sticking to your guns. No, that would be an absolute international disgrace to raise the LGBTQ flag at our embassies. How despicable. This is just nothing more than the left pandering. You guys can pander to the LGBT community all you want, but there ain't enough of them to make a difference in any kind of voting block whatsoever. Thank you so much, sir, for doing everything you can to balance our trade, balance this inequality with these other countries that are taking and ripping our country off. We thank you so much. And again, folks, you're listening to New Right Network's original series, SmythTV. Your host, Brian Smith, giving you the breaking news, wrapping it all up, making sense of it, exposing the fake news, and telling you everything that is going on that is the real news. Crush a share, crush a like, Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern, folks. And right after this is the Wayne Dupree Show. You got 2 hours of real news back to back. You're never going to hear these stories anywhere because we ain't bought and paid for it. Well, we wouldn't do it anyways. We're great patriots. We love our country, and we want to save our country, folks. So jump over to SmythTV, crush the Patreon, crush the PayPal, whatever works out for you best. And for Tuesday Thoughts, hey, peace out.
You've been listening to New Right Network, mobilizing, countering, energizing. Online at newrightnetwork.com.